Yeah. So many thanks for giving an opportunity of presenting the climate change collection, and it cannot be more timely, and unfortunately all for the wrong reasons. 2000 and it's a little bit going fast. So 2022 is a milestone in UK climate history according to the Met Office, and we all experienced the 40 degrees Celsius and above, and the temperature records, which were broken at more than half of the UK weather stations this year. And we all experienced a shock, and we are all fully aware that this climate crisis calls for a rapid transformation. So how does the climate change collection can help and support this transformation process? That's the big question. And my answer is that as an end user, I see the collection as a collection of stories, and the stories of plans, policies, possibilities, and the stories which could drive the narrative of the transformation. And this is why I'm particularly happy to be able to present the collection here today, because this is a positive story. I'm presenting here a collective work, and I would like to say thank you for all who contributed to the collection and made this presentation possible. In particular, the UK Web Archive team in the BL, the National Library of Scotland and the National Library of Wales, Janet Ashton, my line manager, and my former colleague Takahira Ishii-san at the Institute for Global Environmental Strategies, and all who contributed to the climate change collection. So a couple of areas I'm going to slide through: my professional journey to the Web Archive, the collection as it is today with a focus on the COP26 in Glasgow last year, the challenges we face, and most importantly, I would like to extend my invitation to you to contribute to the Web Archive climate change collection. So I am not a web archivist. Oops, it's going a little bit too fast. My job title reads as Slavonic, an East European cataloger. So I'm cataloging contemporary printed books of 4 collections: Hungarian, Romanian, Moldovan collections, books printed in these countries, and books in Esperanto published globally. My first encounter with the Web Archive was a fantastic staff training offered by Nicola, Helena, and Carlos, and that's where a completely new world opened up for me. Having created my first ACT record, I thought that this is an area where I would like to volunteer my work and time and curate the collection, and that offer was accepted, and I'm ever fully grateful for that. So my background shapes and my dedication drives my curatorial work. So, as previously mentioned, the new interface gives you an entry point to the climate change collection through the science, technology, and medicine topic. And when you land on the page of climate change, you realize that this is about climate change and related issues published in the UK. So when I'm talking about related issues, I refer to sustainable development, a concept which was mainstreamed 30 years ago at the UN Conference on Environment and Development in Rio. And that was exactly the time and place where the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, was also formed. Just to give you a taste of the broad spectrum of the issues in climate change and related issues, I show you here the Sustainable Development Goals formulated in 2015. As we all know, that collections are focusing on UK publicly available websites, and this collection in particular focuses on stories produced by academia, business, civil society, media, and government, and their interactions. The initial focus of the climate collection at the moment is academia and the civil society communities for the following reason, that academia has a double role in producing our future leaders and their education, and also driving cutting-edge research, including transdisciplinary research, which is a collaboration between academia and non-academic actors like business and local communities. Communities have a super important role as first responders when it comes to the impacts of climate change. Their way of producing and using local knowledge is key, essential in adapting to the impacts of local climate change, climatic changes. So in terms of selectors, the same as for any other collections. And at the moment, as you can see, we have a dozen or more regular contributors or selectors. And some of them, the names are familiar, you can see, and the most of them at the moment coming from the British Library. Our collection development approach can be characterized as diverse and multi-pronged. Ranging from subject knowledge, the most common one, and focusing secondly on multiplier organizations like funding, grant-making organizations who identify a large number of otherwise difficult to find organizations with relevant websites. Some of these grant-making organizations make their database downloadable and publicly available. That's a fantastic asset because many of their grantees and their websites are already gone. So the only information we have is the grant application. Diversifying our contributors is a very important way to diversify our stories we cover in the collection. And I will give you an example a little bit later. And of course, chance encounters matters as well. So when I talk about collection growth over the couple of years, as you can see, from 152 to over 2,500, I'm not talking about numbers like baseline. I'm talking about the diversity of stories. And the diversity of stories is important because when we have a diversified narrative, we have more chances to actually adapt to the changes and drive the transformation. The collection, the climate collection, is in the top 13 collections. The top one is Brexit. So the next tier is 12 collections ranging from 2,000 to 10,000. And that makes this collection specifically important, but I would add that this is just a fraction of the stories we are capturing at the moment, and the actual number, I hope, would be in at least one, if not more, tiers above. As mentioned before, some of the targets can be linked to several collections. The example I give you here is butterflies. So the butterflies can be part of online enthusiasts, animal-related hobbies, as well as climate change when it comes to how they are used in terms of data sharing. Just a very interesting curiosity just recently published on the Natural History Museum that climate change actually has caused Britain's butterflies to get bigger. We use the apps you all know, and what is also important to mention that the climate change collection can also be discovered in the BIA's main catalogue, Explore. A little bit about collection history. It started in 2015 by Peter Spooner, a science policy intern at the BIA. Which looks like my slides are going down. And then there was a major upgrade a couple of years later. And this upgrade was necessary for a few reasons. And then one of them is that the concerns about climate change has increased both locally here in the UK and globally. Another reason was that the International Internet Preservation Consortium published a fantastic international climate change collection, and we expected that national web archive collections would follow, and hope that our collection would be useful as a model. Most importantly, perhaps, was the preparation for the Glasgow COP26, the first COP, climate COP in the UK. So I just go to the next website, because I just want to emphasize that this COP was very important, the COP26, for many reasons. One of them, this was the largest ever COP to date. And also the COP, which was followed by most people. At the moment, we still don't know the exact number, but because this COP happened during lockdown, most people actually followed the COP and the extensive mass media and social media coverage. I want to extend my gratitude and thanks to the National Library of Scotland to create a subfolder for this collection and contribute with many fantastic targets. This slide and the next one, which is the COP27, are here only to illustrate the rapid change of the escalating crisis. As you can see, previously, last year, we actually we're talking about 1.5 degree mean global temperature increase as a realistic scenario. This is actually now considered widely unrealistic. So when we go back to the history slide, the collection history slide, one more here, as you can see at the moment here, the last bit, we are focusing on exploring new ways of capturing this rapid change in the whole climate crisis in terms of scope and scale. And that's actually leads me to the next section, which is about the challenges. The biggest challenge of all, of course, is use. So we want our stories being taken up by people who are interested in planning, making policies, running projects, and exploring ways to transform our societies. Of course, this is not a current concern, making science, making research useful. As you can see, this is at least a couple of hundreds old since Francis Bacon started talking about it. But making use of the current science communication technology would help us to make progress. Other major, other than use, scope and scale needs to be mentioned here. Scope necessarily that we realize that we are not talking about climate anymore. We are not talking about sustainable development anymore. We are talking about, unfortunately, a colliding cascade of crises, a global polycrisis. And for this reason, we are talking about a shift from sustainability to resilience. So this scope change also creates a challenge for collection and curation. It means manual curation is still essential, but not enough anymore. And machine learning is indispensable for the next step or next scale at the collection. Citizen science stays a very important way to contribute to the diversity and the localization of the collection. However, the current form and current entry, current tools needs to be made more appealing. And this is just a slide to mention that we started an informal exploration with the BL Digital Scholarship team to explore machine learning. And that exploration also benefited one of the BL PhD placement program Jason mentioned at the beginning, and the use of knowledge graphs. So going back to the very first slide, if we have a need for transformation. We have to have a very diverse voice in the collection. We have to, and we want to have your stories, people's stories from all walks of life. As the quote says here, we will only solve the climate crisis, and I would say the resilience crisis, if we can build on a large range of ideas. We need people like you from different ethnicities, going back, genders and social backgrounds with different life experiences. So I invite you to nominate your stories, nominate your websites, and this is the way to do that. This is the site Carlos created specifically for the UK Web Archive Climate Change collection. So thank you very much, and I look forward to hearing from you.